Okay, so let's do a follow-up on Jack in the Box. Yesterday we left off on part 9, so I guess today we're on part 10. I have been doing some excerpts on Behind the Closed Doors. I've been like writing that, so you get just kind of understand where the story is going, how it's going. These are not all the events that's happening all at the same time, of course not, but these are different chapters in the book, and different times of their marriage, so on and so forth. And I think like the first part that I showed you guys, the first excerpt that I showed you guys, was closer to the end of the storyline where Jax, not Jax, well, Jace, Jace and Jag, because I call him Jag, even though it's Jag being short for Jaguar, finally deciding to just say F it all and embrace what they are, who they are. But you'll see why. You will get an understanding to see why at some point when I actually, put that all the way out there. But it's a reason why they finally embrace the idea of just becoming public versus staying a secret, because of some things that were happening behind the scenes, behind closed doors, that made them just take a leap of faith. Okay, they wound up just taking a leap of faith, and they jumped off the cliff, and it left poor Chastity in shambles, but it'll lead to them eventually letting the world know why they did what they did and how they did it. Why they did it the way they did it. But it is what it is. But again, it is a fictional story. It is not a true story. This is not based on my life at all, like in no kind of way. But anywho, what was I gonna say? Oh, what do you call that? Jack in the Box. Let's get a little bit of it in today too. So, yesterday we left off with Marissa toying around with Jack again, like he's a mouse. And then also her coming to the conclusion that Tom is somehow involved in this heist that Jack was involved in, and now looking like Gregory, but she was questioning the foul now because from her recollection, why am I not saying that? Whatever, for her memory, let me just recollection. But anyway, from her memory, she remembered things looking different in the file. It felt like somebody had swiped out the original file to give her some false information so that it wouldn't lead her to whatever truths to discover in this case. Before she left the desk, there was a file there that had a whole nother situation going on, because she didn't remember any evidence or anything that said that Tom's niece was involved, first of all, let alone Gregory being his cousin. So now it's just, we're going to start there. We're going to start to the point where, what's her name? Clarissa and Tom meets, and she's going to start asking him some questions, but she's going to manipulate him a little bit, just to get a little bit of her. She's going to seduce him. Let's just say that. Okay, so Marissa stood there with Jack, and Jack was shocked at the idea of her stating that she felt like she was in danger with his being in his presence. I mean, it was all shocking to him because how protective he really was of her. So hearing that from her shattered him on the inside, and he just looked at her and he felt betrayed, absolutely betrayed. And so he walked away. He didn't even give it a follow-up. He just walked away with his head down and his heart in his stomach. There was no way he can gather that back up. He just felt that was the end of that relationship for him. Like he couldn't go back. There was nothing there anymore. no matter how many times more he may have seen her, he knew to just cross the street and look the other way because he didn't want to scare her. He didn't know where this was coming from. So she felt a bit satisfied, and as she watched him walk away with his tail tucked between his legs, and she chuckled a bit. Oh, dear Jack. And so she looked at the time. She's like, oh my God, I have to get back. So she knew she had to race over to the bureau in order to meet Tom to be on time for their date. So she jumped in the car and she sped right on over to the bureau. And she pulled right up into the parking lot and parked and walked over to the front of the building and looked at the time, and it was literally 2 minutes before 5 p.m. So she was technically right on time. So she just stood there and she waited till Tom, she can see him visibly in the hall, and so that she can just kind of walk in there at the time that he was walking out of the elevator banks. And so she finally spotted him. And so she walked in and she looked at him with a big smile and she said, wow, you look really good. She said, how was your day? He said, it's over now. It's nothing to talk about. And she said, well, good. Maybe we can, talk about some new things, some new me and you things, And he said, wow. He said, that sounds amazing. He said, well, look, there's a bar right around the corner. She said, a bar? She said, what are you trying to get? I'm a lady. Are you trying to get me wasted, hammered around here? She said, no, 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 no. She said, I'm famished. I haven't eaten. She said, I had a salad for lunch and it was on the go, so I didn't even eat the whole thing. I was thinking more like dinner. She said, I really want to take you out. I really want to show you a good time and just show you something. I don't know. Let's just have an intimate moment, not a bar moment. And he looked at her. He said, wow, you really taking this seriously? Well, aren't you, Tom? And he said, well, yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, it's just all new for me. I mean, with you being this way, and I mean, it's just different. It's just different. So I'm just I'm gonna go with the flow. Oh, well, that's a good idea. She said, well, look, I know a great place. It's literally right down the street. It's about maybe 2 blocks down. Let's just take a stroll. We don't have to walk. I mean, drive is really nice outside, and we can talk and chat. I mean, walk and talk. How about that? And he says, sure. Marissa, he said, this is nice. This is really nice. I don't think I've had something like this in a while, and I really appreciate this. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna get beyond myself. And oh, please, it's okay. It's okay. She said, come on, let's talk and walk. And so she grabbed him by his elbow and cupped it up a little bit and kind of snugged into him as they walked down the street. And Tom was like, wow. He said, look, he said, he said, let's change positions because she was on the outside. And so he placed her on the inside. And she said, wow. She said, I feel so protected. She said, thank you for thinking of me that way. Chivalry is not dead, is it, Tom? And he said, of course not. He said, you're such a lady. You have to protect the ladies out here. Well, thank you, Tom. And so Tom and her walked down the street. And so she said, well, Tom, she said, are you seeing anyone? No, I mean, my wife died about 3 years ago. And so I haven't seen anyone since. And I've pretty much been alone. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I have a similar situation. I mean, I was dating someone and it's like he just disappeared and I hadn't seen him since. And I don't even know what happened to him. It's like he doesn't even remember everything or something. It's just kind of weird. I mean, I don't know. It's just so I understand what loss feels like. I mean, but it's just a different type of loss, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if you ever want to talk about how you feel, just, I'm always here. And Tom looked at her and smiled and he said, well, I'll consider that, Marissa. Thank you for suggesting that. So they continued to walk down the street and They almost made it